Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Unconquered podcast film session. It's been a little while since I was able to do this, but we're in the preseason now, and we got about 2 weeks, actually a little less than 2 weeks left before the scheduled opener. And it is time to break down some Mike Norvell film. I have gotten my hands on some All-22, so let's go ahead and go through some Mike Norvell offense. Going to have some Fuller defense coming up as well, although I'm still trying to get good All-22 film there. I've got Fuller versus Navy, which is helpful, but not quite as helpful as against a standard offense as opposed to the to others. But this should give us a good sense. Now, remember, Memphis beat this Ole Miss team in 2019. This is an SEC defense. It was a decent, not a bad SEC defense. They only scored 15 points in this game, but they were able to avoid turnovers and continue to move the football enough to make sure that their defense was able to do their job. And I think that's a lot of what Florida State's going to have to do this year with the offensive pieces that they have, and basically get the big plays when you can and cater to the strength on defense. And this is a game that shows how Norvell finds ways to do that against defenses where his offense it maybe is a little outclassed in terms of talent. So, and especially up front, Ole Miss, if you watch this game, Ole Miss is a lot better up here than Memphis on the offensive line in terms of the bodies. And you can see what Memphis is doing over the course of this game to find ways to help their offensive line. So this is a good game to study. We're going to go ahead and take a look through it. I'm going to go through right around the first quarter in this video, and then make some room for a little bit later, a little bit more in later stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first play. This is going to be a screen. Now, one of the things I want to call attention to here is that Norvell runs a number of double screens. So he'll run. This is actually a swing screen at on the top side where you have the tight end arcing to block up here, and if the read's right, the quarterback actually turns and throws that swing. So if they're in, let's say if they're in press here and they've got 3-over-3 with an overhang, then quarterback is actually likely to go to this swing side where you're going to get the arc. And so if they're going to be in that position, you're probably going to have a safety back more toward the middle here. And if this guy is back a little bit more here, you're probably going to see that. And at that point, that's a read for the quarterback where you see here, if this guy goes with the swing, then the quarterback's actually going to run this ball or throw it at his feet as opposed to coming to this side. But basically, at that point, defensive end runs with the swing, you've got numbers here. If the defensive end crashes like you see, but they don't have that extra player out here, then you're going to swing that, and essentially it's an ISO play on the outside where you're going to get some yardage. Instead, this is 3-over-3 on the outside with an overhang here, but this guy's pretty much out of the play. So it's essentially a 2-on-2 short and a third guy coming from distance. So this is an easy read for the quarterback pre-snap. And you'll see here, they use a lot of these little spot screens, partly because Norvell likes the way that the angles work for the blockers here. Now, you'll notice the overhang steps in for the run. This makes it easy for the inside receiver. He's got to come in and block the backer at that point. This play could have hit for a decent bit of yardage had this receiver done just a little bit better job blocking the corner here. Corner's a little bit more physical and gets close, forces the ball carrier up, but you're still getting a nice positive gain on first down that does not require a whole lot from your offense. So this is, again, first play of the game. You can see, look, we don't believe that we can beat these guys up front. We don't believe we're just better than them up front, so we're not going to try to run it down their throat. We're going to find ways to make them run sideways a bunch to protect that offensive line and give ourselves some opportunities to basically ensure that we are playing the run game outside and where we've got some athletes. That's basically what they're doing here. So you'll see not terrible here. You'd like to see just a little bit more, hold on just a little longer, and then this becomes a one-on-one right here. You end up getting 4 or 5 yards. That's 5 yards on first down. You'll take that every time. And you see again in terms of the screen mechanics, it's just working with the slide here, slide there, quarterback getting that out on the spot. And it's so fast that the offensive line doesn't even get out there. They don't even need to get out there. Now, one thing you'll notice about Memphis, their O-line is in shape. These guys are, I mean, he's maybe 280, 285. The guards are a little bigger, but they are much more svelte than what you saw from Florida State the last few years. I mean, this is something that you'll see with Josh Storms and with Norvell. He's going to want his offensive linemen to be able to move better than what you've seen the last few years. And, with the Bryles system, they were going to try to get a lot of vertical displacement, so they're going to value bulk a lot of times. With Norvell, they're going to try to get more athleticism up front. It's really about making sure that those guys, they want to move you, yes, but they want guys that can move as well. So because they're going to do a lot in terms of what they've got in terms of scheme variance and making guys move side to side. That said, you've got enough talent at the guards, for example, where if you're gonna get a bigger guy, you'll take that. Now, this is an interesting one here. Stacking the wide receivers. Now, the benefit of this, and we saw this with Bryles as well, and you see the wider splits. This is not quite Bryles length splits, but a little wider than standard. A little past the numbers out here. The reason you do this is you're making this an easy read for your quarterback. So you're testing where these apex players are going to play, and they call it an apex because essentially they are splitting the difference between the outside receiver and the inside of the box, right? So the edge of the box. And if he's playing closer to the box, then you flip it out here. If he's edging towards the outside, then you hand it off. And if it's marginal, if the read is muddy, if it's not clear, then you hand it off. That's the rule. So you can see here, this guy is leaning. So you're checking to see whether that lean tells you anything in the future. Should you come to the screen player? Now, in this case, they're reading this side more than they are this side, but pre-snap, you're checking both sides. Because they're so wide, because neither guy is really in the box, they're just going to run the football here. Now, what I want you to notice is this is a standard zone play, but one of the things that Norvell does and that his offense does when you're dealing with the standard zone plays, all sorts of different things, they've got a lot of different checks in there for the offensive line to be able to take advantage of angles. So in a standard inside zone, what you're going to get here is you're going to get basically a double team here where the guard is going to work his way up to the backer. And basically you're going to try to get this, it's going to double up to the backer here where the offensive tackle is ultimately going to be responsible for this 4-eye, the guy who's lined up over his inside edge. So I'm going to go to the other angle real quick and you'll see what happens here. So this is a tough block for the offensive tackle because he's on his inside eye. And so that's an easy spot for him to get into the gap. So if this guy isn't a really good athlete, isn't a better athlete than the guy across from him, it's going to be hard to do that. And in terms of the way that this is going to work, normally you're going to get an inside zone where these two are going to step together and try to close that gap, and then he's going to work his way up to the linebacker. That can work, and it can get some movement against this guy. One of the downsides of that is that if that backer triggers really quickly, then you can't get off that block in time to be able to get a good block on him. So you end up stuck on the combo, stuck on the double team, and you don't get your hands on the backer. What Norvell does here is interesting. So against an odd front here, they actually X this essentially. So what happens is the guard blocks out. So that becomes a kick out block for the guard, which in terms of angle, that's a really advantageous angle. And since he just is trying to keep this guy from getting penetration in here, he can just kick out, and then the tackle actually pulls inside as a lead blocker here. So this is essentially something similar to what you're going to get with a dart play, but not quite. So this is basically just inside zone. So center's one-on-one here, but he's just got to protect that inside edge, and if the nose tackle punches it in here too hard, the back is just going to bend that. But note here what you get. You get the kick out from the guard at advantageous angle, and now you get a one-on-one lead block with the offensive tackle. And that's when you're going to take any day of the week, even with the relatively weaker offensive tackle, you hope your offensive tackle can block as well as a fullback or better. And now all of a sudden, look at that running lane. And if you've got a top level back, I mean, if you've got Cam Akers with this from last year, this play might score, right? You've got an elite back that's going to come close to scoring. In this case, the backer here comes clean just a little bit too well, and he's a good backer. He's coming across, scrapes across, and gets his hat on the football. That's a good play by the backer. Closes down really quickly, which, I mean, that's SEC front seven. But you're still getting a good lane here just on the basis of the little shift that you're getting on this side. So that's something to pay attention to that you're going to see. And I talked to one of the defensive coordinators who coached against Norvell in the AAC, and the first thing he talked about was, man, he's got all sorts of creative ways to run the football. It's a pain to defend them because of all the stuff they do up front that you have to be ready for. And this is one of those little things that, you've got the right call on chalk, and then he's got a little extra check just to give his guy an extra angle. And that's really helpful for the offense. Still, that said, you're still only in, 2-yard gain there, partly because they're just better than you up front. In fact, I'm not even sure they gained yardage there. Now here again, this is an RPO, and that last one was, by the way, an RPO. Every run play in the Norvell offense is essentially an RPO. Here, again, we talked about that. You kick that back out. Now, moving to the next one, you've got an RPO here. Once again, this is just a zone play. Everybody's stepping. You've got the H-back in the backfield. But you have 7 players in the box and 7 players within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. I mean, these apex players are not respecting what's going on out here, and the 2 safeties are deep. So now this becomes an easy decision for the quarterback, and this becomes a little spot screen on the outside. Now, I know for the podcast, I was asked why Norvell often puts his bigger receivers in here and his faster, a little quicker receivers on the outside. This is one of the reasons that you see that. This is actually the default RPO for the Norvell offense. They run this one more often than anything else. You'll notice that the first 3 plays, it was some version of this on the outside. So that's what you're getting. And if you're getting, and a lot of teams, what they're going to do is this guy's going to bubble and this guy's going to block. Norvell thinks that actually, again, it's all about angles. It's harder for this guy to block this guy head up, and this guy coming to the sideline. The sideline serves as another defender on the bubble, especially to the boundary here. It's hard to get anything out of that because the guy's momentum is all carrying here, and it's hard to get upfield. Whereas if you can come here, this actually has an advantageous angle to create that little vertical seam. If this guy can get a decent block here, you've got a vertical seam for the outside receiver to go either way. So if he cuts inside, now he can come straight up the sideline. Or if this guy gets a good kick out, you've got a nice seam for him to hit this right up that seam, and it's a one-on-one again. And it, depending on how athletic this guy is, he can get there in a jiff. So this is what you're counting on, and this is why they oftentimes are going to put the bigger receiver right here, because you're expecting that to be the block. Now, sometimes they will run the bubble, but this is the default, just because they think that that's actually a more advantageous situation. Now here, the wide receiver juggles the ball, and if he had caught that cleanly, you see right there, that costs him a bunch of space. And from the time the ball's hit his hands, he should be heading north-south right now. If he's able to hit the accelerator right now from the 35-yard line, he's got to get to the 40. If he's able to hit the accelerator right now, he should be able to dive forward for that at least. But instead, you'll notice how much ground gets covered in the juggle. Right there. Oh, and now all of a sudden, everything's closed down. You're going against a faster defense, and he slips. Not exactly ideal. So, and you can see, again, this is just straight RPO, but the box numbers are not good, and you're facing a defensive line that's just better than your offensive line. Again, you can see how well coached they are up front. They're not given space because of technique. I mean, especially I'm impressed by what you're seeing from the center here against a good against a good nose. He doesn't give a whole lot up there to the play side. They've got some space there, but it's not good enough. And right there, if he doesn't juggle and then try to turn outside, they've got a first down. You get so frustrated as a coach when you call that up. That should have been a first down. Instead, that's 3 and out. All right, now second drive. They again get the ball right around the 26. You notice there's been three different formations up to now, and now we have a fourth formation. This time it's going to be trips. You're going to see more formation variety from Norvell than you saw from either Taggart or Briles. You're going to get a ton of formations. He's much more of the Jimbo Fisher version, a school of thought here, where it's really easy to teach formations. It's just a new place for a guy to stand. And as long as you have your concepts in place, everybody should know where they're supposed to be based on, okay, well, you've learned all of the receiver positions. You've learned the new places to stand. So just go to the new place to stand and run the same thing you would if you were standing over there. Or run the same thing that he would if he were standing over there. That's basically the same thing. So it's easy to teach where to stand, but it causes a lot of problems for the defense. That's the idea, is that it gives the defense that many more things that they have to be aware of, and that many more rules that they have to have in place, and that much more they have to focus on during the week. So they can't install as much, and they can't have as many tricks in their bag because they have to be spending so much time working on learning your formations and all of the various tendencies and techniques that they need to be able to deal with those formations. So it's an easy way to force the defense to do a lot of different things while you're really not doing anything different. You haven't installed any new plays. You're just running the same play out of 5 different formations, which for everybody here, that's really nothing different other than just stand in a new place. For them, you're going to see guys check in and, okay, you got to be there. Okay, I got to. It's a major difference for the defense. All right, here you're just in a trips with a nub formation. So you got a similar formation to what you had on the first play, but they were bunched on the first play. This time you've got an extra wide split, on the numbers for the wide side of the field. So that's a really wide split there. And then the back on this side of the quarterback as opposed to the other. So this is going to change all of that. And one of the reasons that you run all of these different formations initially is this is where Norvell's going to have his guys up in the booth, Dillingham and the offensive assistants that are up in the booth. They're going to be charting and they're going to be keeping track of what the defense's response to each formation is. And so you're probing here a little bit. This is jab, jab, jab. Where can we find what they're, they did this against this formation. Well, we've got a chance to get the matchup that we want if we make this tweak. That's what you're doing on these opening scripts. And it appears that he's one of those guys that's going to do a little bit of probing on those opening scripts. So you can see that here. Now, once again, you're going to see doing everything on first down to try to protect his quarterback against a pass rush that odds are his offensive line is going to have trouble with. How does he do it? Play action, little roll out, sprint out. And one other thing that really stands out about Norvell and the way that he does things is he's always trying to make sure his quarterback has an easy out. So this is a situation where they're running a sail route, a sail pattern where you're going to have a clear out. And this is a really, let's find a good PG way to say this. This is a terrible job by this outside receiver in terms of effort. That's a low effort play from that receiver. Yikes. I mean, he should be on his horse. His job in this concept is to get him turned to have to actually play upfield. So you push at his leverage and you make him think that you're going deep so that he has to turn his hips and run with you, which is what opens this up. Because if he's able to sit, this is dead. Because all this is a 15-yard roll out. So he's gonna be running an out route at 15 yards, and you got a go route on the outside. The go is pretty much a dead play, but if this is Tamorrion Terry, I can guarantee you that he's taken off, and this guy has to run with him, and all of a sudden you can throw this to the sideline and get a 15-yard play on first down. So that's where he's looking right now. That's where he's trying to go. On the backside, you've got a little crossing route, but there's no chance at that just because the window's too small with the they blitz the backer on this, and so ultimately the quarterback doesn't have much chance. But what I love about what Norvell does, one of the things I love about what he does on a lot of these deep routes and all this, is he does a really good job of making sure that his quarterback has clean outs. So this is a situation where last year with Briles, a lot of times you'd see a max protect situation or that sort of thing, and you just wouldn't have anybody for the quarterback to check down to. You'd go back and you'd look at the film, and I can pull some film up. You go back and you look at the film, and there's just nobody. There's nobody short of 15 yards. Norvell frequently, and this is a standard flood concept, he's just going to have this guy hanging out here so that if the quarterback needs to get rid of it, you get rid of it there. And guess what? That's a run play. That's 5 yards. Not going to go broke going to go broke taking a profit. So that's easy stuff. And once again, you're going to see there's a lot of pulling. These guards have to be able to be mobile enough. This is one that I'm a little concerned about Florida State's guards being mobile enough to do some of this. I mean, I'm not sure how Lucas, for example, coming off that ankle, how well he's going to be able to do this. Without the ankle, I think he's mobile enough to do it when he's in shape. I think Brady Scott's certainly mobile enough to do it. But they're going to ask their guys to move around. But that's an easy 5-6 yards on a play that was a bust because you had a low effort play, a loaf from this wide receiver here. And he knew he wasn't getting the ball. That's why he's loafing there. So now you got 2nd and 4, and you're in a leverage position. So now this is another formation. Now they're going ponies. It's not what they call it for Norvell's offense, but we're just going to go with it. 2-back situation. And a lot of times what you're going to see from Norvell is you're going to see one of the slot guys actually playing in the backfield or one of the backs playing in the slot. They actually sort of, those positions are somewhat interchangeable. So you might see Helton, for example, back here with one of the running backs or one of the running backs on the field or 2 running backs on the field. And then the running back is in the slot, half the time. And if they tempo, that back is going to be in the slot as often as not. So here you've got a pony situation. And again, as a coach, you get super frustrated with this because this is a false start right there. They're going through the count. All they're doing, they're hard counting here, and then they're gonna check it. They're gonna check with the he's checking the play and got a false start. That's really frustrating. And so now instead of a leverage position, 2nd and 4, you're 2nd and 9. That's a totally different ballgame. So once again here, you're in ponies now at 2nd and 9. And this is something that we saw actually from Briles. This is a play that actually Florida State ran a decent amount last year. This is actually a read play, just like it was with Briles. I didn't know that until they'd run it a couple times last year, but this is actually a read play. They're reading this outside back. So if this is a standard 4-man line, he's actually on the line. If it's 3-man, there's the guy that you're reading. That's your conflict player. And the way that Norvell coaches this for the quarterback, for every play, based on pre-snap, there's always going to be someone who is a conflict player, the guy that is what they're going to call the adjuster. And basically that adjuster is going to determine what the quarterback does on the snap. So here, this is a read play, read option, and all he's doing is he's reading this guy. Now, he actually has the option to hand this off. And in this case, it's not ideal numbers to do that. So right here, he's pulling it. He may not have actually had the option on this one, but often he will. This is often a triple option. But he's reading this guy. When this guy steps into to take the run, he's taking this back. He knows now I'm throwing this, and because you've got the one-on-one out here, you've got a chance. Now, this is where having the loss of Jordan Wilson, the UCLA transfer, he would have been in this spot. This is where having a really good blocking tight end is really helpful because they're going to be able to put that guy out in the H-back spot and rely on that block. If that guy can't make the block, you're not going to get big yardage. That's a really good play from the running back, though. My goodness. So, but again, this is super easy for the quarterback. He's trying to do everything possible to get his quarterback comfortable against a good defense, and using these short throws. Can't believe they got the first down there. Using these little short throws. And athleticism of his backs to get there. I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead. So once again, this is I think our 7th different formation. You got a short, you got a nasty split as it's called here. This is a shortened split, top side. You've got a tight end top side, and not only is this a nasty split, that tight end is covered. So you actually have basically an unbalanced thing. I think that's actually a mistake by that receiver, but he's ineligible. Doesn't really matter because they're rolling and he's in pass protection. So what are they doing here on the backside? This is a sprint out to the backs or to the opposite side, to the wide side of the field. And what do you do to protect your offensive line? You keep your tight end in. You have everybody rolling to that side. You work with your back, who it has a double read here. He's going to protect against the edge and then work his way out to the flat. And then you're just trying to play a combo ball with the outside guys here. And all you're trying to do, this one really should have been able to get there. It's a good decision by the quarterback to throw this away. Actually, wow. Very nearly completed it. This was a pretty simple design. All you're trying to do, this is essentially a version of a smash route, where instead of this guy running a hitch and the inside guy running a corner, you have a corner and then a little out from a stack position. So you're getting the same effect, but essentially you're causing some problems here just by alignment. And you see what he's doing by releasing at the corner is now he's demanding that the corner cover him, which then opens up that underneath. And if the corner jumps inside or jumps underneath, that's going to make it an easy lane for the corner route here. So good job stemming at the corner here. Corner takes off with it, and this is what they're going for here. That's what they want, is both guys covering the deeper player. And if this receiver does a little better job of getting out, this is a lazy route by the inside receiver. If he does a better job of getting on his horse and now getting out, quarterback's able to make this throw, and he should be right about here right now. Quarterback should be able to make that throw, but instead he allows himself to get covered by the underneath guy. Quarterback decides, it's not a good idea. And then says, oh, but once they realized where I was coming, he opened up, and if it really nearly turned into a big play. Just couldn't quite get it. But again, doing his offensive line all kinds of favors here. Not trying to run it down their throat, and not putting them in pass protection situations where they're asking him to drop back to cover and drop back. Another formation here. This first time we've really seen this one. This is a balanced formation where you have a receiver and a tight end to the top, and then twins to the bottom, and then the back to the field. So for here, you're going to expect this to be an inside zone. But what are they doing? They RPO that. That's inside zone, yes. But what do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Two guys playing off at 10 yards and 9 yards. And in this case, they reverse it. You notice this is actually a bubble. Notice it's also to the field. But they bubble this instead of going with the usual spot. Not as good of a block as what you'd like. Actually, pretty good recovery there. But now, this is just an RPO on an inside zone. And he can hand this off. If this guy's playing out here, this gets handed off. He's playing in the box. This is an automatic throw. And you'll notice, you don't know, this doesn't look like a run call, but this is a run play. He doesn't even wave at the back in terms of play action, because this is automatically coming out here based on pre-snap. And then you get it to an athlete in space. come close to a first down. And Norvell and their staff believe that with Florida State's offensive weapons, you put the ball in the hands of a healthy Helton or even a DJ Matthews if he's ever back. You get those kind of athletes, the ball in space out here. And that's something that, those are better athletes than what Memphis ever had out there. And they believe that those guys can create plays. Now, we saw a lot of this from Bryles, so this sort of thing is not something new. And you're going to see a little bit less difference there in that respect than what you see elsewhere. But again, the main thing here is just how many things he's throwing at the defense and the way that all of them are basically built in to give the quarterback the best option at the line of scrimmage, and he's making that call. Finally, are returning to, this is the first time we've seen them revisit a formation. The stacked twins on each side. And all they're doing is they're demanding that the defense tell them, are you going to play the run on, this is 3rd and 10. Shouldn't be 3rd and 10. This is 3rd and 1. This is off. That's wrong. Ball's on the 37, but it is not 3rd and 10. This is 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2. They want to see, okay, are you going to sell out to stop the run? If so, we're going to take our gamble that we can probably get something to one of those sides, and this becomes again a run play on the outside. Now, it's just not a good job by the tight end. This is a faster and better athlete here. You make that block, and that's first down. But this is something you're going to see. Fans are going to get frustrated by this at times this year from Florida State as well, because the offensive line, they are not going to believe that group is going to win each time against those fronts. And you're going to see a lot of times the quarterback's going to pull it and throw these little spot screens, just like what you saw with Bryles. And sometimes that's going to end up with this exact sort of thing happening because of a bust out here. That said, the interesting thing, you notice they again pulled both tackles in this case to the inside as lead blockers. And had the quarterback chosen to hand this off, because of the stunt and because of the angles here, they actually would have, this could have busted. Back has a chance to cut this outside because of the blocks inside. Those leads work, and that's something that you can come back to. That's something you notice, like, wait a second, we had that. And again, notice what they're doing. Pull both tackles to take advantage of the angles against the odd front. And you get some, because of those wide splits with the stack, if he hands this off, can he bend that up the side? Once again, hand that off, bend it right there. That could turn into a really long play if you hit it just right. All right, I think this will be the last series that I'll cover in this particular video, but let's go ahead and take a look at what we got here. So in this case, 1st and 10, you'll notice they sometimes do go under center. Now, this is a problem when you're not under center a bunch. Sometimes that leads to motion penalties and that sort of thing. You better be ready to do it. I didn't see it. Oh, here I think they're stomping. Yeah, I think they were calling that. That might have been a defensive deal that they suckered him. But he liked what he saw under center, so he changed the angle to be able to hand this ball off. So he was in the pistol, likes it better under center. Quarterback has the option to do that in this offense. And here you notice they're running again, a little bit of a pull here. They're going to pin and pull, pin with the H-back or the tight end, work his way up to the backer, and then pull to the edge. And this was a play that they were really hoping to hit. I can tell you that, because they're hoping to get that kick out in the back up the sideline. You can see this start to hit. You gotta love the technique up front. Really well coached up front. But right there, and then if he gets a kick out, again, the back has a chance here, right there, up that seam for a decent play. But shooting themselves in the feet with penalties here so far, and that's causing a problem. I think what the issue is that the plays here got off center. This is not 1st and 10 now. This is 1st and 15. this next play. So this is an unbalanced formation, and you're going to see a decent amount of that from Norvell as well. This is unbalanced. They're short on this side, so tight end is ineligible, stacked up to do this. And now, once again, they're trying to do a very similar kind of run concept as what they had on the prior play, pulling that guard. Problem is that the front wound up in a different situation, and they got overpowered at the point of attack. Once again, they're just not good enough up front against this Ole Miss team. They just don't have guys that can move anybody against that Ole Miss team. Just getting their butts kicked. It's good play calling, but you're protecting your offense as much as you can, just trying to make sure you steal 15 yards here, 20 yards there, change field position a little bit. Once again, note what they're doing in terms of angles. This is actually a tight end and guard power play. Or is this, let's see. Actually, that's not power. Interestingly, this is another version of a zone type play where you're pulling the guard and you're pulling the tackle as leads when everybody's stepping right. This is not normal. This is a variation you don't see a ton of. And once again, you're getting a little bit of space for your back on that side, but you're outclassed up front. But notice he has a bubble over top of him and a bubble over top of him. So they're going to get to the play side, and they're trying to create a problem up front for what Ole Miss is doing by causing a little bit of confusion as these guys, maybe a guy gets out of a gap, and then you can hit a seam. And by pulling the guys in the bubble, that's what you create. And arcing here, you get a chance to maybe get the edge. Quarterback is reading this guy, by the way. It's actually almost hit. Just didn't get quite enough of a physical kick out right there. If he gets a more physical kick out, back has a little more space, probably hits that for another 5-6 yards before going down. It's right there's the kick out that has to get a little more space. Good job by this backside backer scraping through. Center misses him. If the center is able to make that block, this hits either way. Just so close. Frustrating. If you're a play caller, you feel like you really had it there and just not good enough. This is 3rd and 11. And once again, not putting his quarterback in the position of asking him to make a 3rd and 11 throw on drop back against a better defense. Again, very much a kind of a Jimbo-esque approach to this of, you know what? Throw on first down, run on passing downs, give your quarterback the best, most advantageous situations, and guess what? They get the first down as a result of running it on in this situation because they're playing 8 back. Or 7 back. Nice job by the center there. Center's got a tough block here. He's got to scoop this. Gets a little help from the guard pushing that. But this is a give. I mean, this is an RPO up at the top, but as soon as they line up where they've got 3 over 3, this is a give the whole way. And I like what they're doing up here. They release him because they're just going to let him be read by the quarterback. So this gives you the angle here against this guy. You get the double team. And because that center hits his block, now you've got a chance. And it's a great cutback by the back. First down. You feel like you stole one there. Man, it's interesting. You just see the difference in power from this defensive tackle just running through the double team there, but they don't lose him, and so the back's able to cut off against him. Good job. Yeah. The play frames are off by 1 on this tape. Now this is going to be just a standard power play, And again, you're noticing physicality-wise, Ole Miss is a lot stronger than Memphis. Just not as good at players. And Memphis won this game. Once again, a little bit of a those two on the right side screwed the pooch. So now once again you're in long leverage situation. This is rare from Norvell that you're going to actually see him throw this that much. But this is a fun play. This is another screen, but all you're doing is you're doing the screen where instead of it going to the back, you're doing it to the 9 guy on this side, to the split end. So he's coming across, and the line of scrimmage is the 45, and he's just trying to catch it behind the line of scrimmage. Give yourself a chance. You can see Tamori and Terry on this, I can guarantee you. You saw the same play from Briles, and again, you're going to see some similarities. Norvell's borrows plenty from Briles, from Lincoln Riley, from all of that, and sort of puts that in together with a stew of Malzahn, which is the biggest base influence there, which is where you get a lot of the run game variation is sort of piled onto what you got from Malzahn. Once again, notice you've got a deeper concept on a sprint out, layering this, but you've still got a guy down here that is your chief guy. Now these guys just don't do a good enough job getting open. It looks like what they're trying to do is get a little stutter go here on the outside, and just not fast enough to get separation. And once again, you can see why they're not throwing a whole lot of drop back. That doesn't feel good for the quarterback there. And even though this is a screen, I mean, you think about this. How many drop back passes, how many times have they actually thrown the ball downfield in this game? And this is something that Norvell really, his base, what he wants to do is a lot of four verts, throwing the ball downfield. That's his thing. And yet when you watch this game, you get through the first quarter, they haven't done it once. Why? Because he just doesn't believe his guys can do it against these guys. So he's got a plan to maximize what his guys can do against the team that they're playing. And that's the sign of flexibility that you're going to see all year. That one game, you're going to see bombs away, a bunch of stuff downfield. Is there a flag there? Yeah, okay, that's how they got that ball down in there. So we still got a little bit on this final drive of this film. They called that roughing. So then that gave him a first down. But all he's trying to do is put himself in position to get that little break. And now all of a sudden by not turning it over, by not asking this guy to do so much, you're putting yourself in a position where your defense at least can hang in there. And, you get a break or two and like that one, and all of a sudden you're in scoring position. Now you're just trying to make sure you end this with a kick. You get a chance to get a field goal at worst. So what do? Line up and run the football. And all of a sudden they're able to get a break. In this case, they went, they're in 2 back. And what do? They line up the bigger back in the H-back position. And now you've got 7 blockers against 4, 7, and then your 8th man is here. You should have an edge because he's playing pretty far off. And they're just running that into the boundary. And so all they're doing, once again, this is a little pin and pull. Pull the guard, crash down, and again, you'll notice all they're doing is it's all based on angles. The angles are advantageous here, so crash down, kick out. Don't ask too much from your guys physically here. Those guys, those 2, again, at the point of attack, should be able to handle 1. Then get your kick out where, again, it's just a matter of angles. Just don't lose your feet here, and you got a chance against this guy on the edge. So now you've gotten the benefit of that, and the back is able to slip that. And because these guys are actually able to control this is really good technique from the tight end. He's able to get to that backside backer, and that's what they've not quite done all game so far. Oh, and now you have an arc releaser that's able to get to the second level. They've got everybody accounted for except for the safety, and now you're all of a sudden down inside the 10-yard line to the 7-yard line, first down, and you got a chance to actually take a lead in this game. This is sexy if you're an offensive line guy. That's sexy stuff right there, what you're seeing up front from a team that's outclassed physically. That's really good. Just schematically and in terms of just overall stuff. You'd like to not see the whiff on the kick out, but he's in the proper angle. So there you go. And here's where you start to see some playing around with formations, giving them all sorts of stuff. Watch the defense. As soon as you have this orbit motion, watch all these guys. They're communicating, they're bumping. All of their eyes go right here, and what are they doing? That's all eye candy. Yeah, it's an option. He could potentially keep this, but this is going to be a give. And all they're trying to do, get a double team, and get a kick out from the H-back. Once again, relying on double teams against better players. Nice kick out. That's just really well run. Down inside the 1. That's just straight zone. Beautiful split zone. Touchdown on the sneak. And what do they do when they're inside the 1? Get under center and sneak it. Why not? Again, certain things can get overcomplicated. Got to practice it, but there you go. All of a sudden, 7-0 Memphis. They go on to win this game. We're gonna go ahead and wrap there for this video. I'll probably do at least one more look at this game, and probably a look at another game over the next couple days. I'm going to be releasing quite a few videos. Been delinquent and not getting as many out, so I'm going to go ahead and make up for that in the preseason so that everybody is prepared for what you're about to see with Mike Norvell in Tallahassee.